Hello everyone, as promised I'm going to be doing my second video and I'm going to be talking about the computer parts. I've spaced out the background because the first part I'm going to be talking about is a bit big and I'm going to try and see if I can get it into the shot. Yeah, so what parts did I get? That is going to be the question of the hour. So the first thing I'm going to be showing you guys is this. If I can show you both the inside and outside. This is the Fractal Define Mini C Micro ATX case. It is a smaller form factor case. Right now I've got the back panel off and I've got the front panel off. This is the one that came with the tempered glass, and it also has two fans. You can see one of those fans there, and there's another fan in the back there. I've already installed the rear I/O shield and the standoffs on the inside. I don't think you can see them, they're pretty small, but probably, you know, there's one of the standoffs. There's these little tiny brass looking things. So I installed those already, and I'm setting up the case for the motherboard. The other thing is with this is that it has a nice cable management system in the back. The power supply will go into the bottom here, and then you can route the cables and stuff in the back and kind of tuck them away behind the back plate. There's also space back here for the solid state drives, so that's going to be fun. Okay, now I have everything framed back up. Now that I've shown off the largest part, let's get to the actual guts of the machine. So I did mention it is a Micro ATX smaller form factor case, so I have to take that into consideration with everything that I'm putting inside. If I'm going to be using a Micro ATX case, I'm going to need a Micro ATX motherboard to go with it. And this is what I'm using. It is the Asus ROG Strix, the Z370G gaming motherboard. I chose this one because of two reasons. Micro ATX boards come with less PCIe slots than a regular ATX board. ATX boards can have anywhere between 3 to 7 PCIe slots, so you can put a lot. Oh my god, so much noise! Okay, they seem to be done barking. There is a motherboard that is smaller than the Micro ATX. It's called a Micro ITX board, and it is much smaller. And usually those come with one PCIe slot. So the PCIe slot is what you're going to be putting your graphics card into. So if you want to use a dual graphics card system and use the SLI bridge, then you're going to want to have something with two PCIe slots and not a dog barking in the background. So you want your two PCIe slots so you can at least use two graphics cards in there. This one maxes out also. Where was I? This board maxes out at 64 gigs of RAM, which is a lot. I know that there are boards out there that take way more RAM, but those are probably workstation boards and way more expensive. Oh my god, this dog is gonna hurt my feelings. The other thing you want to look out for when you're buying this is what is your socket set for your motherboard and what processors you want to get. And speaking of processors, I got the Intel Core i7 8th generation 8700K processor, and it also has the socket set of the LGA 1151. And for the aftermarket cooler, I have chosen, let me lift up this box, the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. It happens to be the best performing tower air cooler at its price. I bought this for like $30. Which is a pretty good price for a cooler like this. I actually had an older version of this in my previous build, and it did very well cooling my processor, so I was like, you know what, stick to the evils I know. Again, I'm going to mention something. I've brought this up several times. I'm building a Micro ATX computer, which means a smaller form factor. So when you are choosing things like coolers, you have to ask yourself, can this fit? Right? And I had to do a lot of research to see that this big hefty boy can actually hold in my case. And I think that it's just a couple millimeters shy of actually not fitting into the case. It's huge. Some of you are probably saying, Corretta, why not just go for a water cooler? I thought about that, but I have to consider a few things. Water coolers also mean maintenance. The standard maintenance is that you try and service your water cooler every 5 to 6 months. And I ain't gonna lie, ain't nobody got time for that. I am using the Corsair Vengeance 3200 megahertz RAM. It is 4 sticks of 8 gigs, which is 32 gigs of RAM. Unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately, but it's an RGB model, which means it has lights installed. You know, because lights are scientifically proven to make your computer go faster. Just like putting stickers on your car. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of RGB, but I realize that once you get into building a gaming PC or something at this level, you're going to find RGB on a lot of components. Okay, so I'm going to be skipping back a little bit to the processor and cooler sort of thing. The one thing I did miss out is that in order to attach the cooler to the processor, you're going to need some thermal paste. Now, the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo does come with its own thermal paste, but it's not exactly the greatest. So some of the best thermal paste on the market is the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut thermal paste, or thermal interfacing medium. So yeah, I'm going to be using this instead of the standard paste that comes with the Cooler Master. What is next on the DJ train? I probably want to talk about this one the most. This one makes me the most excited. It is the EVGA GeForce GTX 1070 Ti. It is an 8 gig graphics card. Nvidia has recently come out with its 2000 series graphics cards, which are currently hella expensive, and I was not about to spend that much money on a graphics card, so I decided to pick up the 1070 because it is a huge upgrade from my 670 that's been in my computer for 7 years. So yeah, so it's twice the amount of RAM for the graphics card, and probably twice or 3 times as fast, so I should be able to do some nice rendering with Redshift with this puppy. I could have gotten a GTX 1080 Ti, but it was so much more expensive, and I was just like, you know what, just take what I can get until I can afford to just, you know, vainly spend off money on like a $1,500 graphics card. I'm going to need hard drives, and the hard drives I chose to go in here, notice I said hard drives as in plural. I have 2 500 gig hard drives. I've picked 2 different ones. One is a Western Digital Blue. It is a solid state drive. It is the 3D nanotechnology solid state drive, 500 gigabyte, and this is the Samsung 500 gigabyte VNAND 860 Evo. So I'm going to be picking one of these to be my C drive and the other one not. Now, I know a lot of you are probably saying, but Corretta, you could have gotten like a 1 terabyte drive. Yeah, but it costs more. So just get 2 of these babies. And the other thing I like is I like to be able to keep things separated. So just in case I have a drive failure, I don't lose everything all at once. Okay, so last 2 parts. Man, I feel like I've been talking forever. These parts are, it's a lot of parts. It's about 9 different components in all, I think, maybe. This is the external optical drive. I mean, nothing much to say here. It reads DVDs and CDs and stuff like that. I don't think, this is a DVD writer, so I didn't get a Blu-ray one because, of course, the Blu-ray ones were way more expensive. Probably one of the most important parts, or probably the thing that's going to be powering everything, is going to be this. Oh. Corsair RM750X. It is a, whew, it's heavy. It is 80 plus gold rated. Now, power supplies like this one come in with different ratings. All of them are going to say 80 plus on it. They have different ratings depending on how efficient they are under load. So the least efficient is white, and I think it goes up to titanium. I'm not sure. So you have white, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and I think there's a titanium one. I'm not sure, but of course the higher the rating is, the more expensive your power supply is going to be. So there's also that to take into consideration. I've decided to go for this 750 watt, and that's what this 750 is on it. The 750 is for the 750 watts that it can crank out depending on what your system needs. The reason I've gone for that, it's slightly overkill for my system because I only have one graphics card at the moment. Why I got this is that if I decide to put a second graphics card in there, I'm going to need enough power coming from this power supply to power those two graphics cards, because graphics cards can pull like 300 watts under load according to my research. And if you want to have enough wattage to power the whole entire PC while everything's under load, you should get at least a 750 watt. So, I think that's it. I think that's all the parts. I somehow managed to get through everything. Woo! I'm sweating. Yeah, so that's it for now. I think the next time you see me, hopefully I'll have my system up and running, and I'll probably be having a little video here and there of me installing things. Until next time, guys, peace and hair grease.